Well, kia ora koutou, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us for what is undoubtedly one of the most important messages that I've ever had to bring. I'm talking, of course, about the project to re-roof our church, which now has a definite spirit of urgency about it. It's not a panic urgency, just a very intentional urgency to meet our spiritual responsibility and to meet the challenge, a mission challenge, and get this project very much completed. I don't know if you realise, but it was 1 year ago now that we had the incredibly inspiring 7 Volcano Challenge organised and motivated by our youth. And it culminated what had been an amazing 3 months in which we raised $250,000, and it was a remarkable testimony to the fantastic spirit of our church community in Christ. At that point, we hadn't got contractors in to give us a detailed breakdown of the scope of work that was needed to be done. So our final totals were very much guesstimates, but we were thinking in the region of $500,000. A few weeks later, of course, we entered the level 4 August lockdown, and work that could be done in the background was still being done, but there's no doubt that important momentum was lost in this period. So now we really do need to pick up this momentum. I can't stress how important this is, hence today's message. But let me start with this. Why are we spending so much money on this project? So I want to start with the spiritual why, because I think it's crucial and actually very fundamental. Last month, we had a vestry meeting just to pick up the threads of where we were up to and the challenge ahead. And I remember coming out at 9:30 at night, and I thought, I'm going to go in the church and pray. So I gave thanks for the generosity of this community. I gave thanks to God for the good providence that we had received. And I also prayed to God for wisdom and guidance of how we will proceed to meet this challenge. And as I prayed, I felt the Spirit really leading me over to the portrait of Mrs. George hanging on our church wall, because this is the woman who essentially made sure that we have a church building in our community and have had for over 100 years now. And as I looked into her face, 2 things really convicted me. Firstly, I thought, you are the extraordinary woman who was inspired to get this church built in one of the darkest times of the past century, the First World War, closely followed by the pandemic of the Spanish flu, which devastated the population of Auckland and Aotearoa, New Zealand. And I thought, you are the person who in the midst of these dark times was determined to ensure that the light of Christ and the hope of Christ would shine into this neighbourhood. And how many people have been the beneficiary of this woman's vision and determination and generosity down the years, including, of course, you and I, which brought me to my second conviction. You and I are now the chosen people, and I really mean this, given the responsibility, I would say the immense privilege, of ensuring that this gift given by Mrs. George continues to be passed on to others. Ultimately, this really is not about maintenance. We're not building a monument, it's a movement to God's Spirit for ministry and mission. It's about God's kingdom work, it's about worship, it's about the spirit of hope. So this for me is our spiritual why. So here are the facts of our current position. When we did get the architects and contractors to investigate the work needed to be done and give us a detailed cost breakdown, it became clear that 500,000 wasn't the total. It was closer to 750,000. A point to make in this that it isn't just putting a new roof on. There is earthquake, seismic strengthening that needs to be done too. We then encountered, of course, the escalating building costs, and we all know how they have just gone astronomical. So now the reality, with contingency costs built in, is that we have a target of $900,000. Now, it sounds a lot. Are we daunted by this? I can honestly say No, we are very convicted, because here's the good news. We as a community, as I said earlier, raised $250,000 in 3 months. In the past few weeks, some very generous people have given more substantial amounts. And I would add, with no wish for recognition. And because of their generosity, we now have a total of $500,000, which means we have a very clear target, all of us. We need to raise $400,000, and we need to start this work by the 1st of October this year. As I said, a spirit of urgency. Building costs will not get any cheaper, and we don't want this to overtake us, and we need the asbestos off sooner rather than later. We need to nail this project now. Another reason for our confidence is this. Last year we had 3 major maintenance projects. 2 of them are done. Only 3 months ago, the church hall roof seemed like a major challenge, but one couple gave us $57,000, and as I speak to you now, the hall roof is complete. God's providence, people's astonishing spirit of generosity, and their vision has surmounted all of these obstacles. So here's our final call to you for such a time as this. Firstly, if anyone is in a position of being able to make substantial donations, whatever the amount or proportion, or you know anyone that might be, now is the time for this. It really is. Like most people, asking for money makes me feel very uncomfortable, but our mission challenge is far bigger than my English politeness. This is the stuff of Mrs. George. It's the stuff of the prophet Joel, for us to see visions and dream dreams. Let us be the people and the generation who made sure that the gift and the legacy of a sacred worship space given to us by Mrs. George is passed on for another 100 years. That's what's at stake here, to make a difference to our lives and the lives of others who will follow. Secondly, this is a call to every single one of us. I don't know about you, but I have fairly limited financial capabilities. But when people give substantial donations like they have, it really encourages me. It inspires me to give whatever I can to meet this challenge. So whatever your final financial capabilities are, please prayerfully consider giving once more towards our mission challenge. And thirdly, bring your prayers, okay? Look at what Prayer Power has already achieved, and it can go on achieving. So pray for every aspect of this project. Final words. I said right at the outset of this whole project that the spiritual power that would be generated by us as a community coming together to meet this and complete this challenge would be immense. In one of the toughest times of recent years, we as a community have risen to every challenge put before it, and we are stronger because of it. Jesus Christ told us that with God, all things are truly possible, and I really believe this. So let's rise together for this one final challenge. Thank you so much for listening, and take care. God bless.